Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all the people who have tuned into World This Morning by PTV World. And I happen to be Eesha Rehan. I am joined by my charismatic host Shahzad Khan, and we have awoken to a very beautiful and scenic Islamabad as always. And you know, when I woke up today, I peeked outside of my window and it was so dark, Shahzad, that I thought that it's probably nighttime. And then I went back to sleep and then my alarm started buzzing off. So it, you know, woke me up, and then I realized, oh my gosh, it's just very, very cloudy. So assalamu alaikum, Shahzad, please, how are you feeling today, and let us know how your morning went.
Wa alaikum assalam, and thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And obviously, you know, when I woke up and I peeked outside my window, the weather was lovely, it was amazing. I could see clouds over the Magla Hills. But I think that the first thought that which came to my mind was, because yesterday I was right in front of television, you know, keeping myself up to date with the news on weather, and unfortunately it's devastating and heart-wrenching to see how people are actually amidst floods. There are areas where there's been massive flooding, ladies and gentlemen. So I think what we really need to do is we really need to look at how the weather patterns are going to be, and to kind of do that, ladies and gentlemen, heavy monsoon rains, and NDMA warns of flood threats nationwide. So it is our collective responsibility to make sure that we look after the people, you know, who are around us, who are a part of our community, because heavy rains will continue in upper parts of country as NDMA warns of flood threats nationwide and urged public to stay alert until Friday. The alerts cover vulnerable districts in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab, Sindh and Islamabad, where heavy rains are expected to disrupt daily life and pose serious risks to low-lying and mountainous communities. NDMA directs disaster management authorities to remain on high alert, expedite drainage clearance and prepare emergency teams for rapid response. Citizens are strongly advised to avoid high-risk travel, remain indoors during intense downpours and follow official guidance via the NDMA Disaster Alert app. Please make sure that you download the app so that you have all sorts of alerts on your application and that you keep yourself updated. The alerts cover potential flash floods and urban flooding across different regions of the country, including Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab and Sindh. Urban flooding is anticipated in major metropolitan cities due to heavy downpours, especially in low-lying zones. NDMA urged authorities in vulnerable areas to swiftly clear drainage systems and ensure emergency teams are fully equipped to handle any eventuality. The public is urged to remain indoors during periods of intense rainfall, keep drainage outlets clear and safeguard essential household items. And this is a message for each and every one of us. May we be indoors or may we be going somewhere out, ladies and gentlemen, we really need to make sure that, you know, that all of those drainage outlets are actually clean, because Eesha, this is something that I've experienced at my place, and that is that whenever it starts to rain and the downpour gets heavier and heavier, what happens is that the water starts to seep into the house. So everybody needs to be very vigilant and make sure that there are no electrical appliances on the ground, because unfortunately that can be a great risk. And not just that, I think speaking of the cloudburst over here in the Saidpur village, ladies and gentlemen, a similar incident did take place in the at cloudburst over the Babusir top. Which is why the NDMA urges citizens to stay alert, support recovery efforts. A cloudburst over Babusir top caused flash flooding and landslides blocking roads at multiple locations, leaving tourists stranded. 3 bodies were recovered and 1 injured person was taken to Chilas Hospital. The Pakistan Army is actively involved in the rescue operations, utilizing all available resources, including helicopters if necessary. To assist in relief efforts, emergency work is underway to restore flood-affected roads, with the Karakoram Highway and Naran-Babusar Highway closed for all traffic. The Army also focused on searching for missing persons in the affected areas. NDMA coordinated with local agencies to restore infrastructure and urged the public to avoid travel to affected areas. Relief operations continued as authorities prioritized safety and recovery. And Eesha, in addition to this, you know, what I did realize just yesterday, that there was this gentleman whom I met at the gym, and I asked him, you know, what are you doing after gym? And he said that I'll be traveling to Murray. I was like, you know, that the downpour is so heavy and it's so risky, why would you travel? It was like, you know, it's my regular routine and whatnot. So I think for people who are out there, even if it's a part of your regular routine, these weather patterns are not regular. These are abnormal regular weather patterns. So please make sure that you take all the precaution measures and you really do not have to put your life in jeopardy. And to speak further about it, whether how the weather is going to be under this monsoon spell, we're very lucky that we have been joined by the Director General Met, and he happens to be Mr. Mahr Sahibzad. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam. Very fine, very fine.
Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. Obviously, sir, Alhamdulillah, we happen to be the lucky ones wherever we are living, are the areas where it's not prone to flooding. But how do you think that this pattern will be affecting different parts of the country today and the days to come?
Yes, yes, we have already issued this forecast about 3 days before this that one system from the 21st of the July will affect and that will remain active up to 25th July. So these 4 days, 4 to 5 days are very much, you can say that vulnerable when there will be a heavy rainfall in different parts of the country as well as different parts of the areas. So till now, you have seen that Saidpur village that was affected due to the heavy downpour. Up till now, that 200 millimeters rain has been reported from there. So there may be much rain, but people must have to be alert. People must have to be alert that the seasons, this season, this period, 4 days period, is very much active period of the monsoon. That the rain, actually, especially this rain will mainly occur on the catchment areas of the rivers. So flooding in the riverine flooding is also expected. So the vulnerable river is Chenab, where there is a high flood or more than this capacity is water to flow, and we have already warned to the stakeholders that the people living on the bank of this river especially be asked to prepare themselves for this eventuality.
All right, thank you so much for giving us such a detailed breakdown about what the weather patterns are like and how the monsoon season is not a monsoon season anymore, it is a monsoon crisis. So is there anything else, any message you would like to say to all the people who want to travel, who want to stay safe? What would you recommend, as you are the weather expert?
Yes. Actually, we are issuing many advisories. Actually, the people are not taking the Met advisory serious. They are taking some reports from the some other media, some persons who have no link with this department. So I request to the people to be cautious, and Met department is taking its responsibility to give information timely and warning our issue timely. So the people should get alert. After 25th of this July, maybe there will be a break of the monsoon, 2 to 3 days. But these are the days really very much vulnerable.
Exactly, but thank you so much, Mahr Sahab, for being with us, and thank you so much for updating us on how the weather conditions or the weather patterns are going to be in the recent times as well. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, we keep on urging to people who are out there, please make sure that you become our voice and you become the ambassadors of the safety of the people around you, and that too for a cause. Now imagine that if you can convince someone not to travel to north is something that we really need to kind of ensure. Imagine that the NDMA or maybe the PDMA, we make sure that, we kind of bring all of those alerts that they have been issuing so that you guys are more mindful about it. And for anybody and everyone, we do know how we are a very philanthropic nation. So if you see anyone in trouble, because unfortunately 860 or more structures have been damaged all over Pakistan. So what we really need to do is we really need to make sure that we lend a helping hand to all of those people who are out there. But despite this fact, Eesha, obviously it is dangerous and whatnot, but there's one more thing with rain, and I would always want to associate it, and that is that because just yesterday, my papa was visiting my place, and we could see the clouds on the Maghla Hills, and it feels really different. But I do know for a fact that samosas and pakoras are always a constant
in
rain.
season. They definitely are. They definitely are. I always love enjoying samosas and pakoras. But also, Shahzad, we need to remember that we are very privileged that we get to enjoy the rain. We get to make it an experience. However, there's people in different parts of the country and different parts of the world who are suffering the consequences of this aggressive climate change. And we need to take steps to make our urban city planning better, to combat environmental issues. So are we putting in those efforts? research. I think we need to ask our audience this as well. Are you taking active steps to promote the welfare of society?
Exactly, and Eesha, at this point of time, what we really need to talk about is that, how every year we do know how Pakistan and our infrastructure is so prone to flooding. So I think what actually happened in the Saidpur village was actually a result of the encroachments done by the local community. So what people really need to do is that they really need to think twice. At that point of time when they're doing these encroachments, what they do not think about is how the weather might be damaging for them. Now, for us to actually have an infrastructure which is climate change resilient is something that we need to work towards. And Alhamdulillah, if we look at Punjab, we did see how the preparedness took place, in the Provincial Disaster Management Authority. So I think for everybody and anybody, ladies and gentlemen, we really need to be the future thinkers. We need to make sure that we take all of those necessary steps where our infrastructure is climate change resilient.
Definitely.
I think in addition to this, now let's move on towards how Pakistan has been doing phenomenally well in the field of sports. And so may it be volleyball, may it be snooker, well, not cricket, unfortunately. I'll come back to that, but I think I'm going to stick to snooker now. And it's because, I think what we can do is probably do cricket first. So cricket, because imagine that it's going to be the second T20 international in between Pakistan and Bangladesh, because Pakistan is visiting Bangladesh for 3-match T20 internationals. Pakistan to face Bangladesh today in the second T20 international of the 3-match series in Dhaka. Early in the first match, Bangladesh defeated Pakistan by 7 wickets, taking a 1-0 lead in the series. Pakistan aimed to level the series in a must-win clash. The entire series is being telecasted on PTV Sports. And that's it for this. I hope that that they could do well today.
And now that Shahzad has ripped the band-aid of the sports section, let's talk about the West Indies T20 opener. Australia chased down a 190 score to beat West Indies by 3 wickets, and it took a 1-0 lead in the T20 series in Jamaica. Cameron Green scored 51 with 5 sixes, and debutant Michelle Owen hit a quick 50 off 27 balls, helping Australia reach the target with 7 balls to spare. Earlier, West Indies posted 189 for 1-8 thanks to the half centuries from the captain, and Australia now leads the series and aims to extend their advantage in their next match. And not just this, Pakistan has been making great waves and achievements in volleyball. So Pakistan secures the qualification for the Under-17 World Volleyball Championship.
Exactly.
So Shahzad, what do you have to say about that? I feel like we've been excelling. Our women excelled in handball and now volleyball and netball, and so many things are going on. So I think
exactly what I do feel is, now imagine that, Eesha, what we really need to talk about over here is not just that. I think we won, Mohammad Asif Saab has actually won the snooker championship as well. But I think what we really need to talk about over here is that how, a lot of investment actually takes place on cricket or in the field of cricket, and how we might have left behind all the other sports. But we'll come back to this.
Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, there's this news which is coming in, and I would want to share it with our audiences, and that is that Pakistan Army is conducting rescue and relief operation on Babu Sir Top. We just shared the news a while ago where how there was a cloud burst on top of Babu Sir. For everybody and anybody who's actually traveling to the north of Pakistan, how they need to be careful. So Pakistan Army conducting rescue and relief operation on Babu Sir Top. Tourists are being transported to safe locations by Pakistan Army helicopters. 15 stories have been carried out to relocate tourists and travelers to safety. Teams from Pakistan Army and GB Scouts are providing food and essential supplies to affected individuals. Immediate medical aid is being provided to injured. Machinery and manpower are actively engaged in road restoration efforts. Obstruction on Babusar and Karakaram highways are being cleared. Debris removal and reopening of routes have been ongoing throughout the night. Search and rescue teams have been dispatched to locate missing persons. Efforts to find missing individuals are continuing even in difficult mountainous areas. And just before we got started with our show, ladies and gentlemen, we did share the devastating news which actually came from the Babu Sir Top, and it was about cloud burst, ladies and gentlemen. In result to that, Pakistan Army conducting rescue and relief operation on Babu Sir Top. Tourists are being transported to safe locations by Pakistan Army. 15 sorties have been carried out to relocate tourists and travelers to safety. Teams from Pakistan Army and GB Scouts are providing food and essential supplies to affected individuals. Immediate medical aid is being provided to injured. Machinery and manpower are actively engaged in road restoration efforts. Obstructions on Babusar and Karakoram highways are being cleared. Debris removal and reopening of routes have been ongoing throughout night. Search and rescue teams have been dispatched to locate missing persons. Efforts to find missing individuals are continuing even in difficult mountainous areas.
Thank you, Shahzad,
A
for
rich
giving
tribute to Pakistan Armed Forces, Eesha, over here for conducting search and rescue operation for all of those individuals who have been stuck in the debris overnight. And ladies and gentlemen, we did share how unfortunate incident took place where there was a cloudburst on top of the Babusar top, and a lot of people have been involved in it, a few dead and a few injured, and Pakistan Army is conducting a rescue operation. Now, coming back to, obviously this is a sad news to come across, and we keep on saying that, we keep on repeating ourselves, so please make sure not to travel in these days, and it's because of the fact that we do know how there's a heavy monsoon spell. But
the Pakistan Army deserves a big round of applause for always showing bravery and resilience and exceptional skills in saving the civilians. They're doing their duty, their diligent duty, and profoundly expressing how they love their nation.
Exactly. So now coming back to the field of sports, where I was saying that a lot of investment is actually made within the field of cricket, and how we really need to look after other sports now, because imagine that Pakistanis, ladies and gentlemen, may it be any front, may it be Pakistan Army, may it be PDMA, may it be NDMA, or may it be the field of sports, or doctors or engineers are actually doing a phenomenal job, which is why I'm going to share this. So imagine that Pakistan may be passing through a bad phase in cricket, the most loved sport in the country, but it is shining bright in other sports that have so far not caught the eye of general public. And it is our responsibility to bring to you the dedicated attention that we really need to give to these sports. So we may know about javelin thanks to star athlete Arshad Nadeem, but there are many more sports that we may soon start following. One such sport is volleyball. Pakistan's under-16 volleyball team achieved a historic victory in the Asian Championship in Thailand. The team remained unbeaten in the tournament. So number one is volleyball. Similarly, Pakistani players carved a name for themselves and the country in snooker. QS Mohammad Asif and Mohammad Hussain clinched both the Masters and Under-17 titles in the IBSF World Snooker Championship in Bahrain, which featured 43 players from 15 countries. 43. So we'll be following snooker as well. Mixed martial arts is another sport in which Pakistan has been excelling. Shahzad became the new world champion in the KC Lightweight World Championship held in Miami, Florida. In tennis, the young Mikhail Ali Beg is making a name for himself by showing exceptional talent. He won the Bobby Curtis Under-16 Doubles Championship at the U.S. Tennis Association headquarters in Orlando. So great news coming in the field of sports, and what Pakistanis need to do is that we need to make sure that we go out there, we support our players, and that that we fill these stadiums up. So may it be a volleyball match, may it be a tennis match, may it be a martial arts match. What we need to do is that we need to make sure that we are out there supporting our athletes. But as of now, ladies and gentlemen, we did mention that how Pakistan's Muhammad Asif has actually clinched the IBSF World Master Snooker Championship title. He's with us today as well. Muhammad Asif Sahab, Assalamu Alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Walaikum Assalam ji, thank you.
Sir, एक तो सबसे पहले आपको बहुत-बहुत मुबारक हो. Thank you so much. You're constantly making sure that you raise the Pakistani flag high. How do you feel? कैसा महसूस कर रहे हैं आप?
जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह बहुत अच्छा महसूस हो रहा है और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मेरा ये छठा वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप पाकिस्तान के नाम है. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं बहुत अच्छा फील कर रहा हूँ.
क्या बात है. अच्छा आसिफ भाई, यहाँ पे जो एक और बात मैं करना चाहता हूँ वो ज़ाहिरी तौर पर तो यही है कि बहुत ही अरसे से अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आप हमेशा शायद सुर्खियों में रहते हैं. 2012 में आपने गैरी विल्सन को हराया, फिर उसके बाद अगर हम 2024 की बात करते हैं तो आपने ईरान के मिस्टर अली को हराया, फिर सार्क स्नूकर चैंपियनशिप आप जीते. तो बहुत ही अरसे से अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आप पाकिस्तान की नुमाइंदगी कर रहे हैं स्नूकर में और बहुत सारे टाइटल्स जीत के आते हैं. तो किस किस्म का हार्डवर्क है इसके पीछे और कैसी सपोर्ट है जो आपको आज तक रुकने नहीं देती पाकिस्तान का नाम रोशन करने से?
जी देखिए, एवरी डे तकरीबन हमें कोई 6 से 8 घंटे प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ती है और फिर सपोर्ट की बात करें तो हमें सपोर्ट किया जाता है जब हम जहाँ भी टूर्नामेंट होता है वहाँ के सारे अरेंजमेंट्स जो है वो हमारी जो फेडरेशन है वो करती है और पीएस भी सपोर्ट करते हैं. तो इस वजह से हम कोशिश करते हैं कि पाकिस्तान का नाम रोशन करें और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि हमने जहाँ भी पार्टिसिपेट किया अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि बहुत सारे मेडल्स हैं.
ठीक
क्या
है,
बात है।
थैंक यू
और
सो मच
आसिफ भाई, अगर हम स्नूकर के ही हवाले से चूंकि हम बात करें, तो अभी जो आपका बहरीन में जो कंपटीशन हुआ उसमें 43 खिलाड़ियों ने शिरकत की 15 मुख्तलिफ ममालिक से, तो कभी ऐसा लगता है कि यार शायद अब थोड़ा सा प्रेशर मेरे ऊपर बिल्ड हो रहा है और मुझे इसको ब्रेक करने की ज़रूरत है? या आप वो वाले खिलाड़ी हैं जब हम कभी स्नूकर क्लब में जाते थे तो वो पहले हमसे 1-2 फ्रेम हारते थे, फिर उसके बाद हमें 8-10 फ्रेम इकट्ठे हरा देते थे? या आप ये वाले खिलाड़ी हैं?
हाँ, नहीं देखिए, बात ये है कि यहाँ पे हारने का तो एक फ्रेम भी हारने को नहीं बंदा कोशिश करता, कि बंदा कोशिश करता है कि मैं सारे फ्रेम जो है वो इजीली जीत लूं। लेकिन अपोनेंट जो है वो भी पूरी तैयारी से आता है, वो भी मेंटली तौर पर बहुत प्रिपेयर होके आता है और आपको कहीं ना कहीं मुश्किल पैदा करता है आपके लिए। तो मैचेस काफी क्रूशियल होते हैं, ऐसी सिचुएशन आती है। फाइनल भी बड़ा क्रूशियल हुआ, और उससे पहले सेमीफाइनल में मैंने इंडिया के प्लेयर को भी बीट किया और फाइनल में इंडिया के प्लेयर को बीट किया मैंने। तो ये होता है कि जब फाइनल मैच इंडिया के खिलाफ आता है तो फिर उसमें आपकी जो मोटिवेशन है वो काफी ज्यादा हाई होती है। आपके चीजें सोच जो है वो ये होती है कि मैंने हर तौर पे जीतना है, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान का मैच जो है इंडिया के साथ वो जीतना ही है हर हाल में, फाइनल हो या कोई भी मैच हो। तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि हमने कोशिश की और अल्लाह ताला ने हमें कामयाब।
All right, thank you so much Mohammad Asif for giving us a breakdown of that. And you know, आपने पाकिस्तान के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा खेला है, आप बहुत विक्टोरियस हमेशा इमर्ज हुए हैं जब भी आपने खेला, एंड वी आर सो प्राउड ऑफ यू। आप हमें बताएं कि स्नूकर को हम और कैसे स्पॉटलाइट दें फॉर, ताकि उसमें ज़्यादा फंडिंग हो, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हो, ज़्यादा स्पॉटलाइट हो, बिकॉज आई फील लाइक इन पाकिस्तान वी गिव मोर अटेंशन टू स्पोर्ट्स लाइक क्रिकेट, मे बी फुटबॉल, वॉलीबॉल, एंड यू मोर enthusiastic about that. तो आप क्या चाहेंगे कि हम कैसे इस को ज़्यादा फंडिंग दें, इसके ऊपर ज़्यादा स्पॉटलाइट लाएं?
देखिए, इसको थोड़ा सा बेहतर करने के लिए हमें एकेडमीज जो है वो भी बनानी पड़ेंगी गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे। क्योंकि बिना सपोर्ट के प्लेयर जो है वो कुछ भी नहीं है। अगर उसको सपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगी तो वो कभी भी बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकता। ये है कि मैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पिछले एक लंबे टाइम से मैं पाकिस्तान के लिए सर्व कर रहा हूँ अपनी सर्विसेज जो है। लेकिन मुझे यहाँ का एक्सपीरियंस हो गया तो मैं यहाँ पे कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन हमारे जो नए प्लेयर हैं वो यहाँ पे आके वो सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाते, क्योंकि उनको वहाँ पे एकेडमी नहीं है, उस तरह के टेबल्स, उस तरह के कैंप्स नहीं लगते कि जिसका उनको फायदा हो सके। तो अगर ये होगा तो ऐसा करेंगे तो हम आगे आने वाले टाइम में कामयाब हो सकते हैं। और प्राइवेट स्पॉन्सर जो है उनको भी आगे आना चाहिए, ताकि हमारे प्लेयर जो हैं उनको जब फाइनेंशियली तौर पे प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं तो उनको वो फाइनेंशियली तौर पे सपोर्ट करें, ताकि हमारे प्लेयर जो है वो कहीं भी इंटरनेशनल खेल के का नाम रोशन।
एग्जैक्टली और ना सिर्फ ये, अगर मोहम्मद आसिफ, अगर हम आपके हवाले से ही बात करते हैं तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह यू वन योर सेल्फ नेशनल चैम्पियन टाइटल्स इन 2009, 2012, 2018, 2020. You've also made history in January 2025 by achieving a maximum 147 break during a match at the national championship, becoming only the second player in Pakistan's nationals to do so. And in addition to this, IBSF World Snooker Championship, Amateur Sark Snooker Championship, Pakistan National Snooker Championship. And in addition to this, you made rare maximum break of 147, which I mentioned about, participating in teams event, part of Pakistan's wins in IBSF World Team Cup 2013, 17 and the ACBS Team Championship 2018. So कुछ रह गया है अब आप जो अचीव करना चाहते हैं, या अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अब सारा कुछ अचीव कर लिया है?
जी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, यहाँ पे तो जितने भी इवेंट्स हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैंने वो अचीव करनी है कि एक मास्टर का टाइटल था जो अभी रहता था, तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैंने ये टूर्नामेंट में वो भी अचीव कर लिया है। और इंशाल्लाह ये यहीं पे रुकने वाला सिलसिला नहीं है। इंशाल्लाह कोशिश करेंगे कि इस तरह के मजीद और बहुत सारे टाइटल जो है।
All right, and not just this, is there any message you would like to give to the youth watching you, to all the people you've inspired watching you? आप उनको मोटिवेट करने के लिए क्या कहना चाहेंगे कि स्नूकर की तरफ आएँ, इसको एज ए स्पोर्ट्स अडॉप्ट करें?
देखिए, सबसे पहली बात कि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि हमारी जो पूरी पाकिस्तानी कौम है वो हमें हमेशा सपोर्ट करती है, और बिना उनके सपोर्ट के हम कहीं भी कामयाबी हासिल नहीं कर सकते। वो उनकी दुआएं हमारे साथ होती हैं। और मेरा मैसेज ये है कि देखें, स्ट्रगलिंग लाइफ आती है इंसान की ज़िंदगी में, काफ़ी स्ट्रगल्स आती हैं, और कुछ फाइनेंशियली और कुछ बहुत सारे मसाइल आते हैं इंसान की ज़िंदगी में। लेकिन मेरा ख्याल है कि इंसान की ज़िंदगी में जितने भी मसाइल आए, इंसान को कभी भी हार नहीं माननी चाहिए और हमेशा डट के मुकाबला करना चाहिए। और एक टाइम ऐसा आता है कि इंसान को वो सारी चीज़ों का रिवॉर्ड मिल जाता है जो उसने अपनी ज़िंदगी में वो जितनी स्ट्रगल्स की होती हैं उसका रिवॉर्ड मिलता है। तो अपनी कोशिश जारी रखें, इंशाल्लाह आने वाला टाइम हमारा बेहतर होगा।
एग्जैक्टली एंड आसिफ भाई, एक आखिरी सवाल जो मैं आपसे आखिर में करना चाहता हूँ वो ये कि जब हम नए नए स्नूकर क्लब में जाते हैं तो हम बहुत सारे पैसे लगाते हैं नई स्नूकर स्टिक्स पे, उसके साथ बड़े फैंसी से बैग्स खरीदते हैं, चौक होल्डर खरीदते हैं मैग्नेट वाला, और बड़े ग्लव्स पहनते हैं। तो आपको लगता है कि उससे बंदा स्नूकर का अच्छा खिलाड़ी बनता है या ज़्यादा प्रैक्टिस करने से बनता है?
देखिए ये चीज़ें भी बहुत ज़रूरी हैं। स्नूकर क्यू बहुत अच्छा क्यू जो है वो आपको काफ़ी हेल्प करता है। बहुत सारी शॉट्स जो हैं वो क्यू की मदद से यानी कि लगती हैं, और बाकी सारी चीज़ प्रैक्टिस जो है वो तो सबसे पहले है। और प्रैक्टिस के बगैर तो कभी भी कुछ नहीं हो सकता। क्यू खुद बॉल पॉड नहीं करेगी, इंसान को खुद मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, और जब वो मेहनत करेगा तो वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उस चीज़ का उसको फ़ायदा होगा। तो ये चीज़ें भी ज़रूरी हैं, लेकिन सबसे जो चीज़ मेन है वो है आपकी हार्ड वर्किंग और आपकी प्रैक्टिस। तो उसपे आप जितना ज़्यादा टाइम देंगे तो आपको उतनी जल्दी आपकी गोल अचीव।
Exactly. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Asif bhai, for
much.
being with us, and thank you so much for making Pakistan proud, and making sure that Pakistan's flag is going to rise high and fly high, and even in days to come, alhamdulillah, you've achieved all the titles for Pakistan, and you truly deserve a standing ovation for anybody and everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for Mr. Muhammad Asif, the champ himself. But while we are over here, I think what we really need to talk about over here now is that, imagine that there needs to be cross-country programs,
Definitely.
where athletes can go from one place to another place, practice, train, do their camps,
each
and then
other
come
out,
back
train,
and learn. Or there needs to be an exchange of expertise, and such is the news that I'm going to share with you now. Because imagine that China has confirmed that it will host a top-level summit with the European Union is being this week to mark 50 years of diplomatic relations amid ongoing trade disputes and global economic uncertainties, and that's a way of bringing the two, obviously China and then European Union together. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Jiakun announced that European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday. China's Premier Li Qiang will co-chair the 25th China-EU summit with the EU leaders the same day as both sides seeks to stabilize ties strained since 2021 when Brussels imposed sanctions on Chinese officials. A good thought, and I think at a diplomatic front, that's what any country would be doing or should be doing. It should actually be studied as a case study for countries to kind of come close and make sure that they have economic ties together where they can benefit each other.
Definitely, definitely. And it speaks of how the gap is bridged between different nations, how ideas and cultures, and like you said, sports could be exchanged as well. So yeah,
Not just
we're looking forward to it.
not just even sports. Imagine how Pakistani men or women are getting married to Chinese Pakistani men and women, or Chinese Pakistani men and women. So imagine that's what a cross culture economy would look like. Imagine our people going to China, settling over there. I do have a couple of friends who've actually married Chinese Muslim men. They're over there, they're settled, they say so much about that. And then we do know how for a fact, Chinese men have settled over here after marrying Pakistani Muslim women. So I think it's great. I think that's how the future actually is. And when you actually have no borders, that's exactly what is supposed to happen, where you can actually love whoever you want, so love is getting global now.
Exactly.
And while love is getting global, ladies and gentlemen, that means that obviously your brain health will be on top. And why I bring that up is because of the fact that today World Brain Day is being observed to increase awareness regarding brain health. The day promotes education, research, and support for individuals affected by brain-related conditions. This year, World Brain Day's theme is Brain Health for all ages. The international movement strives to close the information gap, increase public awareness of impairments to brain health, which is essential. It's important. We really need to make sure that we curb drug abuse. We really need to make sure that we talk about depression. We need to make sure that we talk about anxiety and normalize it, because unfortunately, if you're not going to normalize it, or any individual will not recognize it for themselves, ladies and gentlemen, your brain health won't improve.
And not just that, I feel like we need to talk about the screen time that we have that increases the dopamine effect in our brain, which is why we get addicted to constant gratification, which is why we always want to please ourselves, and we have this instant gratification issue where we cannot withstand any circumstances or crisis that is bestowed upon us. We do not have the patience or the resilience to deal with it now.
And not just that, so there's so much that we can add, ladies and gentlemen. We have an expert over here. Now, imagine that we have spoken about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and how it actually has been really helpful for people on the autistic spectrum or maybe within Down syndrome. But now recently, I've actually met a gentleman who's actually making sure that NLP is for everyone, and everyone can take advantage of it, and certainly will have great benefits for your brain health. He's over here. We'll ask him what the plan is all about and how they're conducting these trainings and these seminars with different 500 plus people. They've done it, and how effective is it? So, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we have been joined by the NLP master trainer. He is Syed Ghazanfar Hussain. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
Assalam. I'm absolutely fine with the fantastic weather, and thank you very much for giving me a chance to share my views.
Obviously, why not? I mean, it was something new that I came across, that because imagine that, unfortunately, probably we never met someone like you, but we only knew that NLP is for somebody being on the autistic spectrum or somebody with Down syndrome, somebody with learning disabilities or challenges. So please take us through, what are you doing and what is Mustang doing?
The Mustang is a brand which believes that every single individual in this world has been born with a unique talent. It's just that we don't try to explore it and we don't look into it that way.
Okay.
So once we give them a right training and development to unleash their potentials, then the sky is the limit for that person. And Mustang is basically a wild horse. So every individual have a potential like a wild horse. It just need a taming with the right training and development.
But that's exactly, when I was going through, the entire intro to Mustang that you sang, I was like, why do we even need taming? That's the point which came to my head, because you spoke about how you were enrolled in a, what do we call it, a cadet college.
Yes.
And the gentlemen were actually called as Mustangs or
Yes.
Mustangs, yes. And how they're wild horses and how they need to be tamed. Why do we need taming?
See, a wild horse is an animal.
Yeah.
Right? So animal with a huge potential. That's with, by being a living being in this world, we also have some wildness in our personalities. Now, it damages when you do not have the right direction to it. But if you have a right direction and use that potential into a right direction, that is where the taming is there. So you can get a benefit out of it.
Because it's more like how you're putting reins on a horse, how you're harnessing them, how you're taking advantage of their ability for your purpose. I think taming needs to come in when we say that we will be in our own direction and that we will be successful. So I do not, because imagine that, I'm one of those people who would always advocate that I do not want people to kind of go look for jobs, at least in 2025. Rather, what they need to do is make sure that they create opportunities for someone else. So take us through now how NLP will help.
All right. Now, as if you have done a horse riding, jo log kar rahe hote hain, to they say they take a, they call it कि घोड़ा बहुत मुँहज़ोर है. The one horse which is not listening to the rider.
Yeah.
Right? मुँहज़ोर है. वो
Yeah.
अपनी direction में भी रहे. Now that's how we are, and that's how our brain is actively monitoring us and directing it to sometimes to different directions. एक shock शुरू हुआ, 3 महीने exist किया, and then later on, I forgot about it. Now thinking about what is the next, and the struggle period is not ending.
True.
Lots of people are coming with these issues. Struggle period is not ending up. Which direction I should go? I'm not clear. I'm not able to identify what I'm good in.
And what is contributing to that? Why are people doubting themselves?
Yes. Now here comes the NLP part.
Yep.
All right. What is NLP? It's neuro. Neuro means your mind, your brain. Linguistics means your words, and programming means that your words identifies it, that in which way your mind is working through which programming on different aspects of your life. Now, if you identify it, how to deal with it, all right? Anxieties, depressions, these are one of the aspects of it, but it's more about growth perspective of your life.
Okay.
Self-awareness about your own self, there was a very famous saying कि जिसने खुद को पहचाना उसने रब को पहचाना. That is the reason, because self-awareness is very, very important, that who I am, how do I act on which scenarios, what my mind plays at tricks with me, So if you identify it, deal with it in a right way. So NLP is one of the tools which makes you equipped with it.
All right.
All right. So you understand it, okay, when anxiety is coming, how can I get it removed when procrastination is becoming an issue for me. So if you know the concept of procrastination, which is very common issue nowadays, कि लटकाए जा रहे हैं at the end and last stage we are just running. So that can be done easily, handled it by knowing the concept of it, rather thinking about कि एक therapy के पास जाना है और फिर एक चीज़ें महसूस हैं. So you are well equipped about your own self.
All right, and mashallah, you've been training for 21 years, training and coaching. So you've trained CEOs, parents, children, upcoming youth. So what is that one mindset that we often struggle to adopt, right? So you talked about procrastination, maybe anxiety. Other than this, do you think we have a common mindset that we cannot achieve the things we want?
Yes, unconsciously we live normally 90 to 95% with our unconscious mind on day-to-day basis. 5 to 8% we maximum, or 10% on a very higher level we use our conscious mind. Now due to some grooming, some circumstances around us, we polluted our unconscious mind. Now if you start teaching your unconscious consciously, all right, so these hurdles starts getting. Now we normally underestimate ourselves on a very aspects. For example, if I'll talk about a leadership, so unconscious level किसी न किसी की picture we create, शायद कोई politician, the guy who's standing in front of lots of people and
Guards
and saying, so that guy is a leader. The guy who would be having a very religious lifestyle, he might be, कोई prophet को खुलफा राशिदीन को might be thinking as a leader, some pictures. But if you look into it, you individually have many roles in your life where you are playing as a leader. Might be as a brother, might be as a father, might be as a colleague, might be at some peer as a boss. Now,
I like how you haven't mentioned husband.
as a husband,
Capability,
right?
capacity.
So you would be acting as a leader, but eventually you are not thinking about yourself as a leader.
Okay.
You are underestimating yourself,
All right.
although you have a leadership. So for knowing that, if you know that how the leaders, what attributes leader have in their attitudes, what are the personality attributes, what are the grooming, what are the learning, and you act on
According.
those roles in your life where you being a leader. So eventually it's going to start increasing a betterment in your life.
Exactly, which is why I'm going to bring to my audience's attention now. So imagine that, for people who are in leading positions, they do recognize what's going on. Now, I do know that in certain situations, how my brain is going to behave, and I allow it to happen, okay? Now, this is where probably NLP will help. Now, imagine that there are times when we do know how our brain reacts to a reward-based situation, how when we procrastinate, how our brain's going to behave, how most of the time we are in denial, we do not recognize that, that it's our fault, how, we rely too much on our support systems, how after sharing with friends, we do know, it's not that big of a problem, even though that you know that it's a problem which you need to address immediately, how with anxiety and depression you feel helpless, how, you just love being careless. Or how when you have your happy hormones releasing in your brain, you forget about everything or your life, so you're not on top of it and you lose control. Now imagine that with CEOs, we do know how the social media has an influx on us and it does influence. How do you think that we can make sure that we recognize, and if we are able to recognize, that we change the pattern that our brain has been telling us that you need to do this?
Yes. See, as you mentioned social media, since 2005 onwards, all right, this mental health advancement or this field started getting recognized.
All right.
Reason behind that, because parallelly technology was getting increased. As we said, addiction to the screen time and all that stuff. Now you start living with the screen as unreal world, all right? So once you are living with unreal world, all right, for mind, there is nothing called real and unreal.
Okay.
All right. For example, if I'm sleeping and I saw a dream that I'm running and running and running and running and I started sweating and I started breathing heavily and I suddenly woke up. So I've noticed that I'm breathing heavily. So for that moment, that was a reality for my mind. Now what reality I tell about my mind, that is a problem, that is a problem, that is a problem. So it will start recognizing it as if this is a problem and this will remain like a problem.
Okay.
All right. So you need to think that way, that is not a problem. That's an opportunity.
Yeah. So how do we rewire our neurons?
That is with it, there are two ways. Some people who got stuck and they can't do it by themselves, they come to us for a life coaching where we run through therapies, through some interventions, and bring their mind as a cause effect of mind,
Okay.
rather being in effect state of mind. So when it comes at cause, so this action starts happening automatically.
And can you share a success story?
Oh, a very recent one.
Sure.
Yes, very recent one was yesterday.
All right.
I got a call from one of my client and he said, please, if you can arrange 1 hour for today. I said, okay. We ran, that guy had a problem for find out a direction for a career, that in which field, what are his qualities and all that stuff. Pretty mature guy, I think 35, not teenager, so sensible, mature guy. But still unclear. He tried, he attempted many things. And we ran through one interventions, which was initial interventions to bring his mindset to at cause, where he take accountability, where he take a responsibility, where he take an action, which brings an empowerment to him. Now, that happened 2 days before, and 1 day gap, he asked, then I want to come for another intervention. I said, why? He said, because the next day was very brilliant.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Now, me being sitting and doing some intervention is just a facilitation.
True.
All right. That's his mind where he is just catching up and bringing an improvement. So I'll direct his mind and he'll bring an improvement.
So all we basically need is guardrails, just like, when we go bowling and, they will give us a direction. But thank you so much, Ghazanfar, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations and thanks to Mustang for bringing to our knowledge and information that NLP is for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're struggling day to day, if you at times sit down and think that you're tired and that you've tried everything and anything and that you are unable to attain that success, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you have a guide or a mentor like Ghazanfar over here who will teach you and guide you that what you're thinking about success might be very idealistic. We really need to think on realistic terms.
Definitely,
Which is
and
why
this session was not just eye-opening, but also mind-opening, and which is why I think to expand our minds and open our hearts, we need to fill our lives with a lot of gratitude for the people around us. And today is actually the International Love and Gratitude Day, which is celebrated to honor the life and work of renowned author and water researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto, who is lauded with the Emoto Peace Project. The day aims to demonstrate appreciation and love for everyone around us, especially friends, family, and co-workers. The day is also calls on people to change in the world by showing love, appreciation, kindness, and contribution to trustworthy organizations that do good in the world. Which is exactly why, Shahzad, we need to think deeply about how our words affect people, right?
Yeah.
And Emoto actually conducted a deep research into how water molecules are impacted by what you say around them. So what he did was he exposed different water samples, one to loud metallic music, one to like a little toxic word like place.
One to gratitude.
One to gratitude. And when this water was frozen, the molecules formed different types of crystals and different types of patterns. So the ones that was that was put is that the water molecules exposed to pleasant words and good greetings were actually formed beautiful crystals, right?
Exactly.
However, the water that was exposed to erratic or irregular or toxic spoken traits actually formed disrupted and not so symbolized and beautiful patterns, right?
Okay, my producer is not really happy with the time that we have taken, but ladies and gentlemen, to speak about it, we are very lucky that we have been joined by a psychotherapist, happens to be Miss Saima Hashim. Hello, Madam Saima, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, I'm feeling great today.
Wow, that's
How
wonderful.
Are you
so, Madam Saima, please explain to us how will the brain and our heart actually react or probably will bring so much more good to our lives if we are filled with gratitude. Shukr, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so as your co-host also, already described the Dr. Mashara's work, he experimented on water, different kind of waters, and our human beings body, 70% of the body is made up of water. Imagine what effects do these two emotions leave on our body, on ourselves. Right now, I talk about the psychology. what happens when we practice love and gratitude, our parasympathetic nervous system activates, right? We feel resilience. Our body comes from stress to rest or maybe calm or like a very resting and a healing mode. That's what our nervous system do to us.
Exactly, but madam, in addition to this, you do know how we have grown up listening to this, and obviously our religious teachings even teach us that as well. कि हर हाल में अल्लाह का शुक्र अदा करो. I think
Yes.
that there's a lot of wisdom behind this as well, and then eventually when we grow up, we try to understand this. How do you think that it will actually have an impact on our brain, where no matter what challenges we face, in this world or in this life, we're like Allah tera shukr hai, Allah tera shukr hai, because Allah is
Yeah.
the only one who's going to ease it for us, right?
Yes, it brings, gratitude is what? Gratitude is what? It brings a lot of abundance in your life. It, it shifts your focus from what you don't have to what you have, because life is not about what you have. Life is about what you feel what you have, how you feel what you have, right? And psychologically, gratitude makes you shift your focus from your past worries and your future worries to the here and now.
And how can we embed this gratitude enhancing ability in our children, right? So I see a lot of people nowadays, especially children, take things for granted because of the instant gratification effect. You want food, you get it. You want a certain type of clothing, you get it. So how can we embed this gratitude within children so they recognize how to give back to society and accept what is happening around them on a very profound and deep level?
So do you get it whenever you say to your parents?
Again, this is what I was thinking about. Like, if when
Okay.
please go ahead.
First of all, we need to embed gratitude in ourselves. It's very important. How can you live a happy and a content life without gratitude, without love and gratitude? Because these two are interconnected. I give you example from daily life, a very small example that everyone can relate to. If someone brings you tea without asking you, right? And also, if after a long, tiring day, a child smiles at you, what is this? This is the act of love, and recognition of that love is gratitude. So love and gratitude is there. It is very much there in our lives. What we have to do is we have to practice, we have to talk about it, right? And we cannot impose love and gratitude to our children. First of all, we need to practice. They will practice automatically, because our children don't do what we tell them to do. They definitely do what they witness us to do.
Exactly, which is why in addition to this, where we're speaking about gratitude, it's a characteristic that we need to develop on, and it takes years. How important do you think there is another characteristic which I would want to bring into our conversation, and that is a characteristic of patience. And you do know how sabr karne walon ke saath Allah hota hai, alhamdulillah. How do you think that patience will teach you to to have a heart full of gratitude?
Yeah, so patience and gratitude, they both have healing frequencies, right? And they are very much interconnected. And patience, we need to understand the right gist of patience, right? Patience is not, tolerating everything, every kind of injustice, any kind of wrong behavior. Patience is, accepting joy and pain, both with the same grace. We need to accept, we need to honor joy and grief or pain with the same grace. So that's how we can practice.
And speaking of gratitude, it actually stems from the words that we say and the actions that we do, right? And Shahzad touched on something that reminded me of how we give this gratitude to different people around us except for our family. So just an example today, someone if opened the office door for me, so I said thank you to them, but in the morning when my mom brought me breakfast, I don't remember saying thank you to her. So these are little things that we need to like, we need to recognize these things and adopt them in our daily lives, and actually be grateful for the family and the people actively involved for us.
मैं अपनी अम्मी को इतना शुक्रिया बोलता हूँ, वो बेचारी कह रही होती है, बेटा इतना शुक्रिया क्यों अदा कर रहे हो?
We
मैंने कहा, "अम्मी,
definitely all
आपका
need
बहुत
to be
शुक्रिया."
like Shahzad. So please help us. So how can we embed this within ourselves? Like you said, gratitude starts within ourselves. So how can we embed this within
Yeah.
ourselves for wellness, mental being, and emotions?
Yeah, so gratitude does not mean speaking all the time, telling people how we feel about them or about their gestures. It can, gratitude comes with smile as well. When I smile, you can feel something, you can feel my energy. it is a very quiet thread that's, keep our emotional world together. It binds us. Yes, and also we don't need to find difficult words from ChatGPT or from any other app. We just can smile, our eyes tell. It is just an energy. This is an emotion, yes, but you know what I feel deeply? Gratitude and love, they both are energies, and they feel,
Thank you so much.
people feel
Thank you
this,
so much, Madam Saima, for
and it is very
expressing and sharing.
contagious.
All right. Yes,
Exactly. Thank you so
definitely,
much, Madam
definitely.
Saima, for expressing, how gratitude is an emotion. And that's exactly, what I would want to kind of end our conversation with. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, that gratitude is an emotion, because you really might not have to say thank you every time, Eesha. But it's probably because, if your mother will ask for something, or if you will think that she needs something, you would be right there to do that. So it's not always very verbal. It's an emotion, it's an attitude
It's
that
body
you carry,
language,
it's body language, and it's contagious. So for each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with gratitude. First of all, shukr alhamdulillah, Allah Pak, for giving us these healthy bodies, and for us to be able to start our day wonderfully well. And let's be full of gratitude for all of those people who actually support us. So Eesha, thank you so much for being a
definitely.
wonderful co-host.
Ah,
And
thank
with
you
that,
so much.
Madam Sana, thank you so much for being such a patient producer. Until next time, look after yourselves. Good morning. Allah Hafiz.